You know, when I look at this shooting that happened in Texas, it makes me wonder how come the shooting in Buffalo 2 weeks ago didn't get this much coverage as this one is getting. And you know why? To me, this is just my opinion because it was black people that got killed in Buffalo. See, these are Hispanic children and teachers who were killed. And this is why it's getting so much coverage. I mean, even still, a death is a death and it's ridiculous. And I saw the press yesterday regarding to this shooting that happened in Texas. And all I kept hearing was excuses by the police, why they didn't, why they waited. But, you know, we got to look at the fact that the matter is the door was propped open. And that's how the terrorists was able to get in and start shooting. Now, the children, one of the children called begging the police to come. And it took them, according to them, 47 minutes. And within that time frame, 21 people were killed, mostly children. Now, I don't want to sound insensitive about children being murdered, and my condolences to the families of the victims. But where's this same compassion for the black people in Buffalo who were killed? Where is the press coverage for that shooting by a fucking terrorist, even though he was apprehended? Only non-black people get more compassion than black people. But this is supposed to be the country of humanity and diversity. So where is the diversity in that? When I see my people being murdered by a terrorist and they don't get no coverage, it tells me that they don't care about black people who get killed. What about the black children who be abused in these schools? How many black children have been put in handcuffs for no reason? And honestly, am I supposed to show compassion to another race of children when children of my race is being mistreated, being shot and killed? Say, for example, Tamir Rice, who was only 12 years old, playing with a toy gun, and he got shot down in Ohio by a fucking white pig. Where was the press coverage for that? Where's the justice for that? What about Corinne Gaines, her son who was shot, which they shot her dead in her own home, and they shot her 5-year-old son? Where is the press coverage for that? What about Michael Brown? Where was the press coverage for that? But y'all supposed to care about people. We are one human race. I guess it only depends on which of the humans that you care about reporting on. Now, again, my condolences to the victims' families. But honestly, I can't really have this much compassion to these same people who don't really have much compassion about us. Because make no mistake, Hispanics don't give a fuck about black people. And all these activists don't care about black people, but rather use black people's tragedies as a stepping stone for their political gain. Because at the end of the day, that's what it's all about: pushing these no nonsense, pushing these stupid laws. That only looks good on paper, but not even acted or practiced. Because you could put all the laws down on paper. It's not going to stop these terrorists from terrorizing, shooting these schools, churches, mosques, whatever they feel like doing. These terrorists don't have no mental illness. They know exactly what they was doing. And when I be hearing the news media, especially in the West, making up excuses as to why and try to make sense of it, you really can't make sense of it. Except the fact that that particular terrorist, had no soul and didn't give a fuck about taking a life. I mean, when you hear what this motherfucker was on his mind talking about, as soon as he turned 18, he went and got him a gun, AR-15 to be exact, and he just decided I'm going to go shoot up some people, and that's exactly what he did. Now you could say I'm racist. I don't really care. But all these terrorist attacks in these schools, mosques, were committed by white people. But these are supposed to be the same white people who talk about humanity. It has nothing to do with Democratic or Republican. It has nothing to do with no laws. This is just a mindset and the environment that was created by the very same white people. These white people created this environment for all this shit to happen. They have no humanity. And how do you expect to have humanity from the very same people who don't have no humanity? We don't even talk about the shooting in Buffalo, but yeah, we hearing about some Hispanics getting killed. It's perfectly fine. But I'm more concerned about the shooting that happened in Buffalo, New York, approximately 2 weeks ago, where my people were killed. You don't hear nothing else about, you haven't heard nothing about that in approximately 2 weeks. And here's more excuse. Buffalo News. The law enforcement officers are investigating whether a retired federal agent had about 30 minutes advance notice of a white supremacist plans to murder black people at a Buffalo supermarket. 2 law enforcement officials told the Buffalo News. Authorities believe the former agent, believed to be from Texas, was one of the least 6 individuals who regularly communicated with accused gunman Peyton Gendron in an online chat room where racist hatred was discussed, the 2 officials said. The 2 law enforcement sources with direct knowledge of the investigation stated these individuals were invited by Gendron to read about his mass shooting plans and the target location about 30 minutes before Gendron killed 10 people at the Tops Markets on Jefferson Avenue on May 14th. So according to the Buffalo News, one of these so-called federal agents had advanced knowledge of this, which means this could have been prevented, but they didn't. The news cannot determine if the retired agent accepted the invitation. There were like-minded people who used this chat group to talk about their shared interest in racial hatred, replacement theory, and hatred of anyone who is Jewish, a person of color, not of European ancestry. Well, let's get that clear. Jewish is not a race. I wish they quit trying to talk about like Jewish is a whole separate race. Jewish is a fucking religion. One of the 2 law enforcement officials with close knowledge of the investigation. What is especially upsetting is that these 6 people received advance notice of the Buffalo shooting about 30 minutes before it happened. The FBI has verified that none of these people called law enforcement to warn them about the shooting. The FBI database shows no advance tips from anyone that this shooting was about to happen. Agents from the FBI are in the process of tracking down and interviewing the 6 people, including the retired agent, and attempting to determine if any of them should be charged as accomplices. The 2 sources with close knowledge of the probe told the Buffalo News. The two sources did not identify the agent by name and could not confirm what federal agency he worked for. The Buffalo FBI office declined to comment on the investigation. The U.S. Attorney's Office in Buffalo declined through a spokeswoman to comment. Buffalo civil rights attorney John V. Elmore said it would be outrageous if it turns out that a former law enforcement officer had advance notice of the shooting and they did nothing to prevent it. If he had advance notice, he had a moral obligation to get on the phone and try to notify someone about it, said Elmore, who represents the family of Andre McEnroe, who was shot dead when he went to Tops to buy a birthday cake for his 3-year-old son. Attorney Terrence M. Connors, who is representing several families who lost loved ones in the shooting, said, "As outrageous as this may sound, based upon what we are finding in our investigation, it is not surprising he declined to reveal the evidence his law firm has collected." The New York Times reported May 17th that I'm not even going to pretend to pronounce that name, invited a small group of people into a private chat room on the messaging platform Discord to review his plan about 30 minutes before the massacre at Tops. The Washington Post reported 2 days later that 15 people accepted Gendron's invitation into the Discord chat room and were able to review his plan and watch his live stream video as he committed the killings. Federal authorities are investigating if the retired agent provided information to the Gendron before he went on his shooting spree. The two law enforcement officials told the news. I can't even read no more because I'm such in disgust right now. And this just shows the lack. It really just shows how much the law enforcement gives a fuck about black people and other people of color. You hear this, you see this right here. They don't want to take no responsibility. The same way they don't want to take no responsibility with the school shooting in Texas. It's a story that's as old as time. Pointing the finger. My condolences to the black families who lost loved ones. And I hope you get justice, but most likely you're not going to get no justice, not through this system. And I'm going to stay on top of this the Buffalo shooting. Now, currently, all you're hearing about is the shooting in Texas. I guess it's tragic because it's children. But I'm looking at the Buffalo shooting because it's black people. So you have your choice of which one you want to keep coverage of. But I choose to stay with my brothers and sisters who were killed. Let the Hispanics deal with their tragedy while we have our own tragedies to deal with. We may show compassion towards others, but we need to show even more compassion towards our own. And that's something we don't do enough of. This was ridiculous. And we need to start showing more love to ourselves as black people. Because at the end of the day, the cops don't give a fuck about black people. The cops don't give a fuck about the Hispanic people. And I'm going to end it right here. You can like, comment, subscribe to the video. Did I get it right? Did I get it wrong? I know some of you going to come to my channel talking about I'm being racist. I really don't even give a fuck because I care about my people more than other races. We always want to talk about it has nothing to do with color and that we are one human race. You white people who have that kind of mentality, you need to go tell your people that because it's your people who's going around terrorizing other people, especially my people. So don't come over here with that we are one human race bullshit. And then I'm being racist. When it's clear as day that white people are killing black people on a daily basis. You mistreating black boys. You mistreating black girls. And I'm going to keep saying, those black people who voted for Joe Biden, this is what you get. and I'm done.